Welcome to r/Entitled People, where we share stories from your lives about people who think the rules don't apply to them, and they should get what they want. Thank you, friends, for subscribing to the channel, and for so many likes. And today we have 3 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story. Shiny top-tier member got mad at increased room rates, set off her hotel fire alarm, and was possibly responsible for a potential kidnapping and trafficker situation. The second story. I know the owner and you are fired. I know the owner too, and that's me. The third story. A drunken visitor and a double arrest. The first story is, sure, I could make this up, but would I? This happened a couple of weeks back. Buckle up. I had this shiny top-tier member walk in at like 8 a.m. and unload like 4 boxes of joint rolling papers and 2 random boxes on our luggage cart. STTM. I'll be back later for this. Me. Oh, are you guest here? STTM. No, but I'm here all the time. Me. For security purposes, I cannot store belongings for anyone except guests. STTM. This is ridiculous. I'm here all the time. Angrily and quickly books third-party reservation. Do you see my reservation? Me. Not yet. Sometimes it takes a couple of minutes to process. STTM. Waits for approximately 25 seconds. Do you see it? Me. No, sir. It's been less than a minute. STTM. I'll help you out. Grabs our business card and writes his name and confirmation number, and just walks out of the hotel and drives away. Several hours pass. He returns. STTM. I'm here to check in. Me. Yes, sir. The reservation never came through. Maybe it was booked at the hotel down the street? That happens a lot. STTM. No, I'm always here. I know how to book a room here. Turns out he doesn't. We have another hotel with the same name a few minutes away, and that's where he booked. Our rates mysteriously increased when he walked in. He was mad about it. I get him checked in, he fricks off and then leaves for the day. I get a call from the front desk agent a few hours later that the hotel fire alarm is going off. I hear it. The front desk agent goes to where the panel shows the issue was, discovers there's no fire or issue, it gets disabled. Several guests exited the hotel and waited for the okay to return to their rooms, because generally that makes the most sense. She gives the okay and everything returns to normal. The next morning I'm doing the regular AM tasks, also training a new girl who is working at a different brand hotel down the road. We notice these sketchy acting guests coming in and out of the hotel. 2 guy twins. She claims she was familiar with them from her previous hotel, said they're druggies, so we do our best to monitor them. Time passes. Guests start checking out. There was this real cute petite blonde girl walking up to the desk. Her hands were shaking and her face was red. She looked visibly upset. So we're asking her if she's okay, and she's like, not really. She was explaining how one of the sketchy men that we noticed at the front was waiting at the elevator landing and made her severely uncomfortable. Like he was there waiting. No phone, no luggage cart. Just leaned against the wall waiting. As she was checking out, he came down from the elevators and walked to his car. And waited with his door open. For her safety, we asked her to wait in the lobby with us until the man left. She wasn't in a rush to go anywhere, luckily. The same man exits his car and walks up to the building. We're all windows, and see she's sitting down and walks back to his car and waits. So we move her to one of our vacant ready rooms on the 1st floor. She was on the 4th floor with one of her girlfriends. The man waits a bit longer, then comes back into the hotel. Notices the lobby is now empty, then heads to the elevators. Our GM follows him and gets on the elevator with him. We want to find out what room they're in. So the man exits the 3rd floor, as does the GM. The man questions what floor the GM meant to get off at. As soon as the GM starts walking around on the 3rd floor, the man immediately gets back on the elevator and goes to the 4th floor. As the man enters the 4th floor, me and the new girl inform the GM. We're watching the cameras. Our GM takes the stairs, and as he's making his way to the 4th floor, we notice the man starts from the end of the hall and starts trying to open room doors. Just going door to door pulling on handles. So we call 911 because nope, and dispatch tells me they're on their way. We're in one of the top 5 largest cities, so we're familiar it may take a while for the police to arrive. The GM informs me he noticed a big knife on the man's person when they were in the elevator, and I let dispatch know this to hopefully get this hurried along. The guy sees our GM on the 4th floor and decides to take the stairs to exit the building. Our GM follows. He gets in his car with the other sketchy guy and they start to leave. As they're leaving, our GM takes his phone out to capture their license plate for when the police arrive. They see him taking a picture and they put their car in reverse. So our GM comes back inside and locks the entrance. We all hide in his office with the cameras. We see the guy walk up to a locked door and empty lobby. He starts knocking, trying to get our attention. We don't entertain it, so they finally drive away. Minutes later, the police arrive. We explain the situation. They question us and the girl that was upset during checkout. A few minutes later, the phone rings, so I answer. "Thank you for calling the hotel. How can I help you?" There was some guy outside recording my car and I want to know why." "Oh wow, that's definitely uncomfortable. Let me place you on hold to see what's happening." And I transfer the call to the GM's office, where he is sitting with the police officers. One of the officers pretends to be the GM and plays dumb to keep him on the phone while they run license plate information and look up the phone number. Turns out the license plate was registered to a man with multiple felonies, so they decide to wait a bit longer in case the men return. A few minutes after the phone call ends, they notice the car attempting to enter the parking lot until they notice the police officer. So they take off. The officers run to their car and the chase is on. We get a call back a little later that they lost them. We have a major highway literally 200 to 300 feet away from us. So cool. Doesn't make us nervous at all, but we decide they've probably been too spooked to return. We tell the girl the sketchy men are gone. She sneaks out eventually. She said earlier she didn't notice them prior to seeing the guy in the elevator landing, but suggests what if they saw her earlier in the day and they pulled the fire alarm to lure her out of the room. It honestly didn't seem unrealistic at the time. Me and our area sales director go to lock the guests out of the room and ensure the room is empty so we can have a shenanigan-free night. I get a call from the GM. You'll never guess who set the alarm off. It was our shiny top-tier member, blowing his vape smoke directly into the smoke detector while looking into the camera. We charged his card the smoking fee of $300. He's now banned permanently from our property. The second story is, entitled Mom Calls Me a Racial Slur, demands that I give up my earrings after getting me fired. This story took place when I was 17. Cast, me is me. Kaz is coworker. EM 1, 2, and 3. Entitled Mom 1, 2, and 3. J, boss. I work part-time as a waitress during my school holidays at a nearby restaurant. All's good. I enjoy the people I work with. Hours and pay are reasonable. For context, I'm Asian, fairly skinny. On one particularly busy lunch day, I just got out from the back, and a table of 3 ladies and 2 kids were signaling to get my attention. I nodded at them and headed to their table shortly after. Me noticing their food is finished. Yes, do you need your bill? EM1. Bill? Haha. EM2. You expect us to pay after such poor service? Me. I'm sorry? Was there something unsatisfactory? EM1. Food was lousy. I called you over to make a complaint. We're not going to pay for this. Me. I'm sorry to hear that it wasn't up to your expectations, ma'am, but you can't have the meal for free. Your complaint is noted. EM3. How dare you say such a thing? I know the owner of this restaurant. I'll call him right now and report your rude behavior. Now, my boss Jay is female. As I was with the table of entitled moms, I could see Jay at the far corner of the restaurant, happily enjoying her lunch. EM3 pulls out her phone, smirking at me as she puts her phone to her ear. EM3. Hello? Listen, one of your employees is being very rude. The anorexia-looking C. Fire her. Oh, and the food was terrible. You ought to fire the chef, too. We won't have to pay, yeah? At the time, I didn't realize what she had called me as I was keeping an eye on Jay, who never answered her phone. Coworker Kaz passed by, hearing what she said. EM3 smiling then tells me I'm fired. It was quite the funny pretending of calling my boss, but I didn't call her out on it just yet. Kaz, what's happening here? Me, they aren't satisfied with their food and refuse to pay. EM3, you're also now fired, so stop talking and leave. Let your friend do the job you can't do right. Kaz, that's very rude of you to call her that, ma'am. I'm gonna have to ask you to pay for your meal and leave. EM2, oh, we have another stuck-up A, huh? EM1, why are you so effing rude? We're loyal customers. We just wanted to give helpful criticism about the food served here, and this is how you treat us? I've never seen any of these 3 ladies before. The kids look mighty uncomfortable at all that's happening. I look at Kaz and he looked over to Jay. EM3, people like you are such a thorn in society. I should get the both of you fired. EM3 groaned as if she was displeased and muttered the word effing C. I heard it loud and clear this time, and my eyes widened when I realized she meant me. Kaz louder this time. Ma'am, please stop being racist, and if you continue to refuse paying, EM3, I know the owner here. He should have never hired any of you worthless piece of SHs. This, of course, attracts the attention of everyone in the restaurant, Jay included. She gets up from her seat and starts to walk over. EM1. Hey you. Me. Me? EM1. Yeah, those earrings. Take them off. Kaz and me. Why? EM1. Do you have any idea how customer service works? It's compensation for the terrible food and terrible service from you. You shouldn't be able to afford them anyway, and it would be perfect for my daughter. My earrings aren't anything flashy. Super simple stud type. I haven't got a clue on what she thought it's worth. I got really angry for her to be demanding such an outrageous thing. The poor kid is about to say something to her mom, but thinks better and looks away. I really feel bad for her. I also felt like I should have said nothing and let Jay handle it, but I lost it. Me. You have no right to ask me for the earrings. They belong to my mother. Lying about knowing my boss? BS on that too. Do you think it's right to stomp on other people? To call them names? EM2 starts nudging over to EM3 to call the police, to report on my harassment. Jay swoops in, grabbing her phone. Jay, that won't be necessary for I've already done so. You're gonna sit here until they come, and you'll leave my employees alone. EM3 is practically screaming for her phone back, calling Jay a bunch of names. She was livid. Again, she pulls the stunt of knowing the owner, thinking Jay is just a manager and threatens to get her fired too. Jay, I know the owner, that's me. I'd advise for you to kindly shut up now until the police arrive. All the EMs go red in the face, and I think I saw one of the kids practically die inside of embarrassment. I still very much wanted to punch EM1, if it weren't for Kaz holding me back. When the cops arrive, the EMs immediately try to push their overly exaggerated story of what happened. One even accused Kaz of touching their daughter. I think I saw steam coming out of his ears. Luckily, several witnesses called out their bluff and our statements are also taken. The EMs sulkily paid for their meal and they were escorted out by the police. I don't know whatever happened to them. I'm sure Jay had pressed for more on them, but I never saw those ladies ever again. And the last story is, you have the last word, we have the last act. We had a guy who frequently came around our site drunk or high. He was loudmouth, cursed a lot, and otherwise generally just rude. We were well aware of who he was, who he came to visit, and what they were going to do. Could we stop it? Only if we could see it. We had no tangible proof aside from the patient visitor getting drunk. Never saw any containers on their persons, though we could find empties. Never caught them physically drinking or doing drugs, until one day in early April. We actually found the two in the act. The visitor got aggressive with us and was refusing to leave on the basis that we're rent-a-cops, and basically the typical drunk do something about it then guy. We gave him the verbal trespass warning and ordered him to leave. Fun fact? No, you don't necessarily have the right to visit at the hospital. Of course, he challenged it, and decided fighting was his way to resolve this. It was a really short moment hands-on with the visitor since there was 3 of us. We were expecting the aggressive behavior. That was finally it. We got the arrest for trespassing. He was in handcuffs. The patient he was visiting was being walked back upstairs. We had to take him through our building to sit and wait for police in a secure spot. This is where it went down. On the way in, he spotted a different guard who was there working doors for us. The door guard was black, and I don't think any of us really knew him. I'm sure this guy knew he couldn't crack us given all the encounters we had prior. So what does he do? Yells a certain 6-letter slur at the door guard who was otherwise uninvolved. I couldn't even believe the next thing I saw. This guard came over and punched our guy in handcuffs, then headbutted him. So now what? Well, we have 2 arrests. One egregious assault and the drunk guy, minor in comparison at this point. The wait for the police to respond was pretty short, and to my memory the guard was fired over the phone before the police arrived. I can't remember if any charges were laid against him. I know the drunk guy left with a 24-hour trespass notice and a strong caution against any more alcohol on property. Because of him being the one patient's only visitor and being assaulted while arrested, we felt any more was overkill for that incident. I hope you like the stories. Subscribe, hit the like button, and thank you for your support.